Hello. Welcome to Putting on a Better Face with me. I'm Aunt Angel. It's noon already and I haven't put my face on yet. I was just out walking about twice as long as I usually walk because the weather's gotten a little cooler and I really do like winter in many ways, but also I like all the seasons really. In case you're not familiar, this is where I just ramble at you with some real rawness about what's on my mind, while I also try to make my face look prettier. It's called goal stacking, doing two things at once. And what's on my mind today, it was a lot of things. My conversation with my neighbors, which I want to get into a little bit, and also what I was writing about last night, which is taking up valuable space. So I want to give you a little background on those thoughts and then get into it. It's a good time to remind you that I'm here sharing my perspective, not trying to say what's right or wrong, and overarchingly trying to encourage curiosity and courage. That was almost the same word. And I'm not trying to scare you, even though this could be scary, so brace yourselves, because this is what I do a lot of days, which is look at the situation and then try to make it just a little bit better any way that I can. Putting on a better face is where I put on a little color on my face, which, I like to say you don't need to wear makeup to look pretty, but it effing helps sometimes. It's like you don't need money to have a good time, but it effing helps sometimes. That all came from an expression I read long ago that said, you don't need running shoes to run, but it effing helps. I'm saying effing for some reason because I'm trying to be more PC, I guess, more considerate. It's not that I'm trying to conform so much as I'm trying to offend less. When I don't mind offending you. You may have already realized. But I don't want to do it for no reason. And to me, cursing is not offensive for the most part, usually, if it's not directed at someone. But I understand it is for many others. So I'm trying to use it more sparingly where I really mean it, if that makes any sense. I'm sure that I will do an imperfect job, so now that I've said that, you can look for times and places that I don't do it like I said. I don't know why you'd want to spend your time doing that. I hope you have better things to do. Taking up valuable space was the name of a article that I wrote late last night, or like till 2 o'clock this morning. That's probably why I'm getting a late start. And it was my response to something that a friend of mine said after I had invited her to a Neurospicy marketing group. And then kind of without any warning, to be fair, like I hadn't really given her any warning, any background, any backdrop. I just sort of laid it on her, this invite. And I think it took her a little while to sort of put together what it was because I didn't do a great job of saying it. And so as she did, she had waves of resistance, which she and I have the kind of friendship where we share that kind of thing. And so, I'm both familiar. I have waves of resistance myself, and then I'm familiar with some of hers and just the concept in general. So we're still friends and it's all good. I want to put that at the bookend of this whole conversation with that. I love her very much. And, but as she realized that she didn't feel aligned with the group, because she doesn't identify as neurospicy, even though her children are diagnosed as neurodivergent, one with autism and one with ADHD, which, I'm going to just put a lot of space around that and say that there's those are topics that we could have a lot of conversations, a lot of real raw conversations about, and I think we should have more of those. But for now, I'm not going to get into most of that, except to say that it's been a little over a year since I started to identify as neurospicy and recognize that I had been masking many of my autistic and ADHD symptoms. Now, that terminology makes me very uncomfortable, and that's why I want to pause right there. That's kind of the modern, disempowering, industrial disease complex terminology, which I have a lot of negative feelings about and a lot of mixed feelings about. But for now, just to point out, that's the common terminology being used that we're all working with, right? So anyway, it was all fine for her to say, I don't resonate with the group. I don't feel aligned. I don't want to play. That would have been, I mean, it still is totally fine. But for some reason, she said, I don't want to take up valuable space in the group if I'm not really aligned. And that sparked just a whole cascade of thoughts in me. Because for one, when we join a group, ideally we're adding to the group. We're adding value to the group, not taking up valuable space. And for two, we're all worthy of taking up however much valuable space we take up. Now, hopefully we could bring value to it and add, instead of just taking it up, we could make that space more valuable by being in it. And I kind of felt like by her phrasing, there was an unconscious insinuation that people in this group trying to find ways of marketing that are suitable for particularly for neurodivergent people were somehow invalid. This is a trigger for me, being born out of wedlock, illegitimacy is a sticky point for me. So I recognize that in myself, one of my own triggers. So it was, as life often is, just like a sequence of little activations and triggers and things to think about. I think it was more of a activation than a trigger. I like to make that distinction when I can. I'm doing this all backwards because I'm distracted by my own thoughts on this. Yeah, I don't think it's like there's an answer to it or somebody's wrong and somebody's right. I do think, though, that it's important, at least for me, to affirm that I have the right to take up valuable space wherever I please. Like, I exist, therefore I have the right to exist, is how I look at that. And hopefully whatever groups that I join, I figure out a way to become a valuable member. Or the thing is, some groups I'm in to gain, like some I'm gaining more than I'm putting in. I always try to put in more than I gain, but honestly, that often ends up backfiring and taking more. Like, it's a tricky thing, especially for a neurodivergent person. I think we do tend to have this divergent perspective. I don't know where we are now. Are we still alive? We are. I hesitate there because the more I get into studying neurodivergence, similar to when I studied special education at the start of kind of this journey, I thought, well, everyone should have individualized instruction plans, and everyone is unique and neurodivergent in their own way. And this whole idea of putting people into boxes and this normalcy curve, I think, is getting blown out of the water in much of the current research just dispels a lot of that theory that came out of the last century, which also gave us, genocide and eugenics and all sorts of fun things. So, I mean, I mean that sarcastically, in case that wasn't clear. It's tricky these days. You get taken out of context so easily, huh? I forgot to check for hairs, and there's some in there, but I'm going to let them ride today. We're doing good. We're doing good. I'm liking the new eyeliner. Maybe I'll start putting links to fucking makeup down there. See, there was an F-bomb that was well placed, right? Because I meant it. But it's not aimed at someone. It's meant as an enhancer, an exemplifier, at an exclamatory modifier, something like that. The other thing I was going to touch on, not that I feel like I reached any conclusions with that, but I guess I just wanted to introduce that idea. I'm still processing it, of taking up valuable space. And I guess I want to end that with saying that I do believe we are all, that you can take up valuable space any way you wish, anywhere you wish. And I mean, there's some pinky finger asterisks to that there may be consequences if you try to take it up valuable space in the wrong time and place. But in the context that I was speaking of, as like joining a group and identifying with a group, or utilizing resources that you feel could help you, that are being offered. I also, especially when it's something like this group I'm talking about, where it's not like participation is taking away from someone else. Like, it would be one thing if there was a limited number of slots in the group. I could see her point, but this was a group, like so many groups, where the more joined, the more value there is. So, and her and I run social groups, so I think that's a familiar, like, that's not an unfamiliar concept in this context again. So I just want to wrap that up and put a bow on it by double clicking on the idea that the fact that you exist means that you are worthy of existing just as much as anything else that exists. And how much value you bring, well, that's up to you. And probably most of us could be bringing a lot more value. So that's that. Now, speaking of that, I was out on my walk and I ran into a couple neighbors, one of whom I've known for some years now, and the other I've seen around and happens to live even closer to me than that one. But even though I've lived here 30 years, and probably so has he, we never talked before. But we started talking because I stopped to talk to the one, gave his dog a kiss on the lips because she was all happy. He has this beautiful St. Bernard, young St. Bernard, female black St. Bernard, which I tend to resonate with big dogs quite well. I used to raise them. So anyway, in our conversation, I gathered that we shared that we were all having high levels of anxiety and aging pains and loss of frame rate as far as time going by quickly. And then the new gentleman that I just met mentioned that he was about to be 80. And I thought that was pretty remarkable. And I was talking about how it seems to me that humans used to be a lot healthier in our culture. And it seems to me that we're accepting a level of unhealthiness where we see somebody pushing 80 that's looking relatively healthy, and we think that stands out. But that should be our norm. If you haven't died from an accident in our culture, where we have plenty to eat and, health care and all sorts of supports and awesome things. And I don't mean to, I'm not being sarcastic about that part. I really do appreciate that we have many awesome aspects of our culture. And I appreciate that. I think the reason it's easy to feel frustrated is because of that privilege that brings, even the time to just even think about it. So I want to put that caveat on it, I guess. But then I also, to put a pin in all this, want to say it was nice to talk to some neighbors out there and reaffirm that we humans are all in this struggle together, regardless of whether we're neurodivergent or neurotypical, or whether we identify as this, that, or the other, or whether we're, one of the older people and one of the younger people, whether we're male or female, whether we live on that side of the street or this side of the street, we still are in the same struggle, which is largely the struggle to feel worthy, the struggle to feel like it's okay to take up space, the struggle to feel like we have value, that we're bringing value to the spaces that we're in. So I guess I just want to affirm that for myself and for you. If you are out there, then you are also probably a human who is in a similar struggle. And drop a comment, affirm that for everybody else, because I know that we all struggle in a similar way, even like regardless of what circumstances we're in. And I also, pinky finger asterisk, totally acknowledge that some of us are struggling way more than I'm struggling right now. And there have been times when I've been struggling harder than a lot of people around me. And there's this temptation to, again, place a value, like put struggle on a spectrum, just like we put our own self-worth, our value, our inherent value to be here, to take up space on a spectrum. But I don't think it is on a spectrum. I think it's now your societal value, your income, your intelligence. We could put all those things on spectrums if you want, but your basic value, your basic worthiness to be alive, I believe that's inherent via the fact that you are alive, you are here. So I hope that you find ways of making the most of that and bringing value and a sense of value to yourself. There you have it, my unsolicited advice. I hope that you're able to put on a better face today, or not put on a better face and be fine with it anyway, whatever suits you. I thank you for stopping by. I hope that you'll give me a thumbs up. I hope you won't give me a thumbs down, but if you must, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the description if you want to find ways of connecting with me and supporting me. Leave a comment if you want to interact with me, and or leave some tips or affirmation for other viewers, or increase the odds that other people will get to view this video. Thanks. Stay curious, stay courageous, stay free. Ciao for now.